All right, so Liverpool now 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League table with a game in hand over Leicester as well. 4-0 winners over Leicester City last night at the King Power Stadium, and 14 clear of Man City in third place now. City play Wolves tonight, so if they win, they'll move within 11. But again, Liverpool would also have a game in hand over them. Sunday, Liverpool host Wolves. City have Sheffield United, and Leicester play West Ham on Saturday. Pat Nevin is with me now. Pat, belated happy Christmas. How are you? What's Christmas like at the Nevins?
To be honest, it was absolutely brilliant. I had a fantastic Christmas this year. Everything's cool. I think it gets a bit more fun when you get older, oddly. It's really great when you're young, kind of hard for the working years. And then, you know, when I say working years, I mean when the kids are young.
Yeah.
And then actually you can enjoy Christmas yourself again. And the games yesterday were interesting, if not brilliant. But they got a little bit better the later the day went on.
We'll go through a few of them over the next 20-odd minutes or so. Were you at any yesterday or just feed up, watching on TV? No,
I was working, as in I had the screens of every game in front of me at the same time. So it was one of those shows where you're commenting on everything coming in, which is kind of an odd way to watch football, but it's amazing actually how much you see and how much you start looking away from some games because you can tell how dull they are. But I think we all knew which games we wanted to see, and certainly, Liverpool are phenomenal in their game. But starting off the day with Tottenham, I've been quite impressed. They keep on seeming to do it now. He has lifted them, Mourinho.
Yeah, I actually had kind of wondered down the years when you are doing that inside in the TV studios where you have yesterday, 3 o'clock, there was 6 games going on at the same time. Are your eyes just kind of slowly, halfway through the game, you find you're just drifting towards one particular game a bit more than others?
Well, what you do is you organise it between two of you. So if there's an anchor, he'll keep an eye on one, which is a bigger screen, and you'll keep your eye on most of the rest of them. But you can tell you kind of get into it. There comes do you know what the problem is? And most fans who've never done this will never get the problem. The problem is when one team is wearing the same as the team in the next screen. So if you get red against the yellows and another red against the yellows, and they're two screens together, my brain can't cope. It's murder. You're like that. But you get used to it, and you know what you're actually looking for. But that's the only confusion of it. And these days you get replays, so you don't miss much.
Yeah, I've had the radio equivalent in the past, where I've been in a production studio where we've had, reporters out at 6 or 7 games at the same time, and because you need to hear where there's a goal going in somewhere, you have to have all the faders up, listening to every single one of them. So you've got the noises of 6 or 7 stadiums coming into your ear at the same time, and 6 or 7 different sets of crowd noises. And I remember the first couple of times I did it, I was walking out of the office at about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and I nearly collapsed. I was so drained. It was the most tiring thing I'd ever done.
Well, it's kind of similar when you're doing TV stuff, but and the radio stuff, obviously I do that on a Saturday afternoon quite regularly as well. But the TV stuff, if there's one thing I would completely change now for the TV, is teams that don't wear their normal kit. That's a killer. If a team is wearing a kit that you've never seen them in before, you're gone. Like if there's 12 teams and you have to move your eyes quickly, and Aston Villa are wearing the weirdest kit in the world, that just doesn't hit in for about an hour, and by that time the game's over. But it's great fun doing it, and it's good fun seeing all the stuff coming in, and you see more actually in an odd way, because you don't see a highlights program, you're not stuck in one game, you see everything, you get an idea of it.
Well, we'll start with the one we probably all saw the most of yesterday, because it was on its own, no other games to clash with it. Liverpool yesterday, I mentioned them when we started just a couple of minutes ago. Pat, at what stage do we stop talking about a title race and actually just start asking how far Liverpool can go this year and what they can actually go on and achieve?
Well, it kind of should be the latter now, purely because they just don't seem to slip. There's one draw so far in the league, and the rest of it's wins. And against Leicester, that was absolutely brilliant. That was absolutely stunning, the way they sliced them apart. Every single player moving really well, playing with extreme confidence as well. You keep on looking for reasons why it might not keep on going, tiredness, injury, or suspension, you name it. Lots of different things, bad luck, you name it. But that's just saying if that sort of happens. The more likely if is you go along roughly as it's going just now, and they hammer the league. That's the more likely. And it really is that now, because you can't see them losing that amount of games in this period of time, because there's nobody who's really that good. You know, Man City are going to be a tough game. You look at Leicester was supposed to be about the toughest game you get, especially away from home. Absolutely trashed them. And okay, I don't think they'll win every game between now and the end of the season. There might be the odd draw here and there. But one of the stats that jumped out at me, last season Liverpool in the league, they won 9 games by a single goal. You know, they ground out 9 games by a single goal, right? They've already done it 8 times in the league this season. So even when they're not playing well, they are managing and figuring out how to grind the game out, and then, you know, take the foot off the gas slightly and just be comfortable, you know, seeing it through to the end. They're a team that's, although they maybe not always looking prettier in the eye just now, they're actually a better team because they're harder to beat now, and they are a more professional looking side. I don't think they're quite as beautiful in the eyes as they were before. Yesterday, accepted, but it doesn't matter. They got to go and win this, and I cannot see how they can lose this.
And like as you were saying there, you know, the odd little stumble will come on the road with injuries or suspensions or whatever, but like they kind of already have had to deal with a few of those, maybe not massive ones. Like Alisson missed a big chunk of the first half of the season, and after a couple of maybe stumbles in the games shortly afterwards, they found a way around it. Fabinho's been out at the moment. Jordan Henderson's kind of doing that role perfectly fine at the moment. They have had, you know, Roberto Firmino probably looked out of form for a little while. He's just found it again in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Mo Salah looked a bit off for a little while. He found it all over again. Like, when they have had, I suppose, when individual players have had problems, they've just kind of found a way to work things around it.
I've never worried about the midfield. It's okay, they've got plenty. They'll probably get 2 to 3 backup players there that will do exactly the same jobs. Slightly different, but they can do the jobs. It's fine. You worry about Salah if it's a longer period of time, but in actual fact, after a while now, you're right. He's had that blip, he's had that injury, and he's come back. They managed it. And then you just keep on looking at the back. Now, Van Dijk is the only one that I would have been concerned about if I was them now. I'm beginning to look at the likes of, you know, Alexander-Arnold and think, you know what? You stick him in there, he'd almost do the same job. He is that good at reading the play in so many different positions. You know, they've got centre-backs that they can play there, yeah, fine. But in extremis, they can move people around, and I think they're perfectly capable of doing it. So I'd give up on it now if I was. They just need to have a monstrous loss of form. Just doesn't look like it. And they haven't, you know, I've been down at Anfield a few times this season when they haven't played well, and they've won the game. They are a joy when they play brilliantly, but at the moment, they are the best team, definitely, in the UK. And, you know, everybody in the UK after that World Club Championship saying they're the best team in the world. Funny, nobody said that when an English team wasn't in it. Strange that, isn't it? But as soon as an English team was in it, everybody's saying it every 2 seconds. Except they're probably right this time.
Yeah.
And they are probably right this time.
And they certainly are, yeah. Last night's game against Leicester, I mean, it was just relentless, really. There was maybe a few minutes midway through the second half when I think Alisson made a little bit of a half mistake, and they just kind of, you know, Leicester just kind of built up a bit of steam. But the penalty obviously killed it off. Once it was 2-0, Liverpool cruised away after that. But specifically, Trent Alexander-Arnold, someone you spoke about a couple of minutes ago there, he was just, again, on another level last night.
Yeah, and everywhere you look, he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal last night. For every part of the pitch that he seemed to walk into, he seemed to be really comfortable, and he was doing great things all the way through the game. But you think about Robertson, what he had been like last season, he was creating unbelievable amounts of chances. You know, Alexander-Arnold is doing the same now. It's an incredible number of chances and goals that he's creating just now. And that's only your fullbacks. You look everywhere. It seems, the odd thing about it, it looks easy now. You think, well, why doesn't everyone organise a team like that? Kind of handy to have right good players who are really specifically good in those areas. He walks onto it, and he played absolutely brilliantly yesterday. But if I was playing against Liverpool, I mean, back in the time when I used to play against them, they were probably the best team in Europe at that time. And you would play against them, and you were stuck. You were absolutely stuck because, A, they kept the ball brilliantly. You know, they did, Anfield particularly, They had the best and the flattest pitch in the league in the time. They zip the ball around, so you hardly get a kick, right? But if you put them under a bit of pressure, they were even more dangerous because their breaking pace was absolutely stupidly good. And I'm looking at the Liverpool team now, and it's exactly the same. They'll have periods of time, like you mentioned there, they're bombarding you. They're coming from the right, the left, and full back, from the centre forward. The centre backs are coming back up for headers and corners. Everywhere you look, they've got a threat. And then you put them under a bit of pressure. My God, they're unbelievable when they're under pressure, because Firmino is amazing when he gets the ball. They don't make mistakes when they break. When they break, they always find players. They've got players that can do that odd thing that not many can do. They run just as fast with the ball as they do without it. And it's a really unusual thing. Mane does it, certainly Salah does it as well. They are amazing at the moment, and just every part of their game is a joy to watch at the moment. And I just don't really see how you stop it.
Yeah, and as you were saying there, you don't really know how you go about stopping it. From what I can see, it seems like the way they play, you know exactly what they're going to do. And I think that's the most difficult thing. It's not trying to figure out what are Liverpool going to be doing today. It's how on earth do you actually stop it?
Yeah.
Because their strengths are obvious. It's so hard to actually deal with it.
Well, a lot of the time it's kind of thing that Man City did a few years ago, right? So you mark up, you match up, you overcover, right? But if David Silva takes around 2 or 3 players, or Sterling takes around 2 or 3, drags you're stuffed. Because it's just a very old-fashioned thing of pace and dribbling. You go by people, you drag people out of positions, but you must have then the vision to find out where that space is. Now, that was maybe the problem with most teams. You can get somebody who'll go by couple of players or whatever and drag everyone out of position. But they can't see that ball 40 yards away, and they can't get their head up, and they don't have the vision to do it. Liverpool get players all over the place that can do that, everywhere in the pitch. So if you look at Alexander-Arnold goes down the line and goes by 2 or 3, or Salah drags 2 or 3 towards him, they'll then find the player who is then made free by that. And it's kind of not that complicated to explain that's what they're doing. You try and stop it, because you cannot leave 1-on-1 with Salah. Because if you leave 1-on-1 with Salah, you're stuffed. If you leave 1-on-1 with any of the forwards, you're probably stuffed. And as soon as somebody breaks that line and pulls your players out of position, you're wobbling. As soon as he's beaten 2, you're stuffed. There's nothing you can do, because everyone's out of position and there's one guy free, and they always find that guy.
How good a chance do you think they have of actually going on and matching the 100 points that City put up a couple of years ago? Because looking at it now, 52 points after 18 games, so they'd need 48 more points from 20 games. So that's 48 from 60 on offer, which, the way that it looks pretty realistic.
It certainly does. You always keep on saying it's unlikely, but every week they go with another game. It's less and less unlikely. And I'd have said, 6 weeks ago, I doubt it. And you're saying now, and I'm thinking, decent chance. Ask me in a month again, they'll say they're going to do it. Because that's the way it is just now. You can't see the kind of weaknesses. You can't see the fallout. The possibility, the one thing that could stop them doing that is if you keep on going on the Champions League and you've basically got the league won by April, well, you throw a few. You just throw in a couple of kids and you might lose a couple of games. And although you'd love to get to the 100 points, kind of so what if you don't, as long as you've got the league won. And that's the way they will think about it. So I suspect the thing that's going to stop them is themselves and their own success.
Yeah, and of course,
the other thing I'm interested in, I'd love, the one thing that I think they would love, the 100 points is the thing a lot of people are talking about, but as a player and as a manager, being invincible, not losing a game, get the draws in, that's absolutely fine. Get as many as you like and win the league and say we never lost a game. That's wow. That is an absolute wow, that one, to be able to say that, because very, very few in history have been able to say that.
Yeah, and I mean, even if they don't go the whole 20 games the rest of the season unbeaten, you're still talking, they're 35 unbeaten at the moment. What was Arsenal's with 49-50, that Arsenal and Nottingham Forest record from 2004, that's within touching distance as well, pretty close.
Yeah, and you look at, everyone tells you the Premier League's getting better and better and better. Well, maybe, but maybe yes, maybe no. But the one thing you would say, you've got good teams that can turn up in the day, or you've got stuffy teams that can play on the break. I mean, I watched the Chelsea game the other day. The last couple of games they have played, they just have all the possession, then get beat. Now, that can still happen to Liverpool. They can have all the possession and get beat. Difference is, because they have got that fantastic creativity, they will score 2 or 3 goals. They very rarely, if ever, draw blanks. Mm-hmm. And I think to win in that sort of style, you need to make sure that you keep them out for 90 minutes and get one breakaway goal. It doesn't look like it now because they've got too much creativity.
Mm-hmm. I might just look at, a couple of your former clubs. You mentioned Chelsea there. I might start with Everton, though, first. Carlo Ancelotti yesterday starting with a win. Did we see anything kind of instantly differently, or was it just going to be a case of maybe tipping along with what Duncan Ferguson had done over the last few weeks and slowly kind of adapt things after that?
Every manager who comes into a new job, what he does is he just gets square pegs and square holes and round pegs and round holes and puts them there for a wee while to make sure he's got a structure in place. And he did exactly that. Now you've Bernard, who's a player who plays in left wing, just stick him there. Don't do anything complicated and make it very, very simple. The structure looked okay. I think we all know he's watched all the DVDs of the games, the recent ones, so that he knows the capability of some of the players to some degree. I think the most interesting thing about it was the substitution he made. He brought in Moise Kean. Now, obviously, that helps the kid because he was under serious pressure after coming on, and he subbed and all that sort of stuff. And there was a lot of discussion about he's not had a good time since he's come over. He is a fabulous, fabulous player. But of course, Ancelotti's watched him in Italy. He knows what he's capable of, probably more than most people that are Everton supporters even know what he's capable of. So he's got a lift for that. But the most important thing, it was a technical change. He went and had 2 strikers up. He had Keane and he kept Calvert-Lewin on. And because of that, it stretched the 2 centre-backs. The cross came in 2 minutes after he made the change. Calvert-Lewin scores a header. Now, he's not going to be able to do that every time, but it's a technical, tactical change that he made of not only personnel but system has won them the game. So that immediately thinks, wow, just the players will turn around and say, wow, he knows what he's doing. So they will buy into it right away. I mean, there's a bit of luck involved, but it happened because he did that. So well done, Carlo. Still a long way to go. I mean, if they end up hanging about in the mid-table, which they're just about now, I mean, a couple of points away from it now, any sort of little run that they can put together now, they can actually start thinking about maybe sneaking towards the Europa League places. But, upper levels of the mid-table, and that'll be good enough for him. But rebuild, I am really interested, however, to see what he gets in January. I suspect a centre-half, maybe looking for another centre-forward, but certainly a centre-half. And if he gets that and gets that right, they actually might have a good second half of the season.
Yeah, because like you mentioned the table there, like they are 13th now and they were hovering down towards the relegation zone not so long ago. But the way it's just bunched at the moment, there's actually there's 9 points between 13th place and Spurs up in 5th. So while it does sound like you'd be getting ahead of yourself to be saying, oh, pushing for Europe and things like that, there's only a few wins really in it at the end of the day.
Oh, there's nothing in it in that whole area there. I mean, you talk about the top 4 have drawn away a wee bit. Well, Chelsea are as close to Norwich, who are bottom, as they are to Liverpool, who are top. So that's where the drawn away is happening. It's happening away up the top there. But in actual fact, everyone else is bunched incredibly tightly. I mean, a few weeks ago you were saying Tottenham were having a stinker of a season. They're back up there, 5th place, just on the heels of Chelsea. It's very, very bunched. It seems more bunched this season than it has been for quite a long time. There's so many teams that could drop in to the relegation zone, but just the same way, Everton right now could drop back in that. They're only 4 points off it. It's straight in there. But you look at the way they're playing, just as easy going and get top 6. So it's a good league. It's a good league. It's a good season for that sort of stuff. Because if Liverpool ruin it by winning it too easily, at least we'll have other things to look at. And I think Everton might be an interesting one.
What were your overall thoughts on Ancelotti coming in last week?
I was kind of hoping as someone who feels for Everton. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to build some sort of dynasty there, but so is everybody. Every club. And they were hoping to get somebody in long term. Carlo's not a long-term manager these days. He's a gun for hire, and look at ever since his Milan days, it's more of 2 or 3 seasons maximum. He comes in, does a job. Now, that's not somebody who's building something that's going to believe in something great for the next guy. So I kind of stand back and look at it and think, oh, well, if Everton are going to grow, you're looking across Stanley Park, what's happening over there. If you're going to grow big and get in the new stadium, you have to build a base, a really good base. It doesn't happen if you just change and change and change and change and change. You can win things and you can get successful, but it's an extraordinarily expensive way to do it. And I just don't know if they're quite a wealthy enough club to be able to do that. So Carlo probably needed for this period of time, but Everton are the type of club, they need a guy who's going to be in there for 4, 5, 6 years, as does everybody. Klopp's there for a while, Pep's there for a while, and these are the guys that are doing well now.
Mm-hmm. But do you think maybe if Ancelotti can come in and do a decent job for 2 to 3 seasons, like he kind of generally stays at a club and, he brings them to a position where they're kind of a nice prospect for someone to come in and take over?
It's not really his thing. It's kind of, he's there to do a job.
Yeah.
It's like Mourinho is very, very similar for a long time. You loved what he came in and done with your clubs to go and win you a couple of trophies. And then you look at what you had in the day, you walked out and you go, oh my God, where are we?
Yeah.
He's basically brought in a team. But teams only last 3 or 4 years. Unless you bring in a bunch of young players, and they're not going to do that. They're not sitting around for 5 years to wait for a guy coming through. And there was once again, Frank Lampard talked the other day, and he didn't say Salah and De Bruyne, but he did say Mourinho didn't give lots of youngsters a chance when he was there. And that's what can happen if you've not got that. And if you're a team like Everton specifically, you need to build that, because if you're going to stand there and slug it out, finance for finance with Manchester City and the likes of Liverpool with the world-wide base that they've got just now, it's a tough gig to be able to do that. So they need to build a wider, steadier base. And so I don't sound as if I'm, wow, here's Carlo, but I'm happy they've got a right good technical manager and he'll steady it for a while.
Mm-hmm. We'll move on to Chelsea there. You mentioned Frank Lampard a minute or so ago. Is he kind of right in that tricky part now of your first year in charge where things had been going so well and the results have kind of turned a bit? You're not necessarily under pressure for losing your job, but you might just be in a position where maybe you're kind of questioning a few of your calls and starting to wonder, are you doing the right thing here, here and here?
The calls that are going wrong just now all seem to be the same ones. Really, really similar. Earlier in the season, they had this defensive problem with corner kicks and they refused to change it. Then they changed it and it was okay, but it took them quite a long time to change it. They were doing this zonal thing that needed that zone plus the mark. They changed it and it's fine. The thing that's going wrong at the moment for Chelsea, now I went to see Chelsea Bournemouth last week and I sat in with the fans in the West Stand and just sat on the 18-yard line, and I just wanted to listen to what was going on. Number one, they don't care if it's mid-table. They really don't. They're fine. It's all cool. It's not like it was before. Frank's got time. So you can park that.
Yeah.
The club's the same. Park that. It's fine. But Frank won't feel that way. He'll think, right, I'm a winner. I want to win. I want to get the best I possibly can. Why is this not going right? And you can look at all the complicated things. He went for 3-4-3 yesterday and at home against a team that sits deep. Basically, 3 centre-backs means you've got one less attacker. Again, not complicated maths. It's really simple. He changed it at half-time, but by then the horse had bolted. So the kind of little things like that he's changing. But see, when you get right down to it, lots of teams have done this to Chelsea over the past 5-6 years. Lots of teams have packed their defence and Chelsea have found a way through. And Chelsea found a way through by a guy called Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
And he ain't there. And you watch it and if you sit there for 90 minutes every time and you're playing against Southampton and you're playing against Bournemouth and you're playing against these teams and you're thinking, there's a lot of good players there and we're passing the ball and we're doing this and we're getting good crosses in. But there's not Eden Hazard. And Eden Hazard was the guy who unlocked it. And it's a very specific specialism to unlock. Now, the reason why I know it is because to a much lesser degree, that was my job for the vast majority of my career. Particularly in international football, you play against packed defences of like the rubbish, like as they were then. They're great now. San Marino, Luxembourg. I got out of that one, didn't I? They weren't great, but they just packed it right. they bring me on to unlock it, and I'd unlock it. Didn't matter how many there were. You get by them, you get a penalty, you drag them all away. Just the sort of stuff I was telling you what Liverpool and Man City do to everyone now. But it's hard. These locks are hard to unpick now in the Premier League because they're damn well organised, and a lot of them are hell of a good defenders. And it's well structured now. There's better design now how to get past it. But Hazard was able to do it. At the moment, there's nobody that's clearly able to do it to anywhere near that level at Chelsea. Pulisic's a great player, and he's going to be a good player, but he's not that level yet. And you look at all the other players, Willian's having a great season, and he's having his best season, I would say, because Hazard's left because he's getting more of the ball. But unpicking that kind of lock to that level, he's not that. You're looking for a De Bruyne, you're looking for a Salah, you're looking for a, Eden Hazard, you're looking for who used to be Xavi, Iniesta, or them sort of players. They're really rare. That's why you're beginning to hear a few kind of hints coming around the place that Coutinho might be a consideration for Chelsea. And I wouldn't have thought that a little while ago. And I look at him now and I'm thinking, you know what, he might actually be there, or someone very like him might actually be the answer.
And do you think they'd go out and try get someone like him in January? Like, is there any danger whatsoever that is this poor form hitting at the worst possible time, just as the transfer embargo has been lifted? Is there suddenly the temptation to go, oh, geez, we can go out and do something here?
Well, worst time, but maybe best time. Because had it happened after the transfer window, there's nothing he could have done about it. He might have thought, oh my goodness, this is what I need. He's had half a season, Frank Lampard, to look at it and say, right, what do I need? It looks great. Oh, I don't need anything. I've got great backup. I've got Batshuayi can come on and score goals. I've got 5 or 6 midfielders that are all fine. We've got Hudson-Odoi who can come on. And then after a while you think, actually, maybe they're not quite there yet. Hudson-Odoi's not recovered from his injury to set anywhere near the level. Pulisic's had a great little period and then he's faded off again. And then you're thinking, maybe it's not all there. I have to say, I thought he would go out and look for the next young, brilliant thing. If you can find a young Hazard or whatever, a young Coutinho or a young version of them. But they're so hard to find. There's so few of them. They get picked up so quickly and they'll cost you a lot of money and you don't even know if they're going to work in the Premier League. Whereas you look at someone like Coutinho and you think, I've watched him recently, he'll be fine, actually, especially in Chelsea's play. They have lots and lots of the ball. They get a lot of ball in the last third. What you need with players like that is to give them lots and lots of ball in the last third, and it doesn't matter if there's lots of players there, they'll find a way around it. If you stick them in a team that's struggling and they're, having to fight and battle, he might struggle too, but it won't be like that. So I'm not saying Coutinho's the one that's going to come, but I think that style's the one they're looking for.
All right, Pat, that's where we got to leave it here for now. Thanks a million for joining us this evening, and a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year to everyone who's listening. Speak to you soon.